think it's a big misconception. Watch shows like Dragon's Den, and they're all like, you know, which shelves you stocked in, and they always think that the only way to success is for wholesale, is to be in large retail stores. But really, technically, everything's moving online anyway, especially now with the pandemic. And if they're going to just sell your products online for you, you might as well do that yourself on the biggest platform in the world, which is Amazon. And I mean, they do still take a percentage of your sales, obviously, but you're not, you know, it's not as much as it would be. My cousin, I think I told him, he was the only person I told randomly. I wish I didn't actually, but I told him I'm going to be selling these necklaces. So I started off doing statement necklaces in 2015, and he was like, look, Nick, I'm just worried you're going to be in a pursuit of happiness situation, which, you know, when he buys those bone density scanners and he is just broke.
He can't sell them.
I was like, it's okay, I'm only buying 20. Let me just see how it goes. You need the ups and downs. You need to learn who to trust, who not to trust. You shouldn't ask people who their suppliers are. I personally think that's not the right thing to do. And for me, once I've got my idea, or like just some sort of vague direction I want to go in, I then speak with my supplier. But what I then have to do is draw everything up. And when I say detail is everything, it is literally everything. So I do a huge, like 4-page document, drawings, specifications, measurements, everything that I want.
Perfect. So let's get this show on the road then. So, Niki, you have a beautiful and successful jewelry and homeware brand titled NIKITA by Niki. How did you first get into designing jewelry, and what made you want to become an entrepreneur?
For me, it was, how old was I? I was at uni, and I ended up completing a degree that I really didn't enjoy. It was quite a technical degree. And when I started my first job, which was a job based in London, I knew that I just needed something else to do. I wasn't quite used to a 9 to 5, especially from coming from uni and working through the night and stuff. So in my spare time, I just started to sell my clothes and items on Depop and eBay, just to do, make it some extra money. And I actually felt like a bit of a spark when I was packaging my items and sending them to my customers. And that's when I knew I think I needed to go into this, perhaps. But it was very, very early days. And I started to do it on the side of my full-time job. So that was evenings, weekends. And it was obviously very intense because you don't have a lot of time to grow it as such. You're just sort of working full time and then trying to do that in your spare time. It is tough. And my work, they knew what I was doing. They were very supportive. And then eventually I decided it was time to go part-time. And I thought that would clear things up for me. I thought I'd have more time to do stuff with the business, and I thought everything would just resolve itself. But I realized it wasn't enough time at all, if anything, because I'd set my goals a bit higher. However, I didn't have the time to actually do anything, as in leave my job and start my business full time. So that was a massive leap of faith. So it was in 2016, and one of the most rewarding things I've ever done for myself. And naturally, you don't really know what it would be like. You don't know what the risks are. So yeah, and then I did that, and then I ended up moving to my own office, and I just, started to get my own products in, and I think I realized I was actually quite good at the sort of online sales side of things. So yeah, it was quite organic in that sense. I didn't really know what I was doing as I was getting into it, but then as I knew it was for me, that's when I really put my blinkers on and went full force for it.
Wow, that's such an inspirational story for like every young person out there, maybe doing something or a degree that they're not quite 100% into at uni.
Yeah.
You really start your own thing with your passion in it. They can really turn into something beautiful like what you've done. So that is so incredible. You're welcome. I'm always so intrigued when I watch your behind the scenes of your first sketches on Instagram. So for budding creators, what is the step-by-step process from sketching a piece to finally having it ready to sell on the website?
For me, it's about a 6-month process. So obviously the first part is finding, sorry, my hair is just all over the place. The hard part, is finding the right company to work on this with you. And that involves a lot of ups and downs. And I think it's something you need to find organically. Again, you need the ups and downs. You need to learn who to trust, who not to trust. You shouldn't ask people who their suppliers are. I personally think that's not the right thing to do. And for me, once I've got my idea, or like just some sort of vague direction I want to go in, I then speak with my supplier. But what I then have to do is draw everything up. And when I say detail is everything, it is literally everything. So I do a huge, like 4-page document, drawings, specifications, measurements, everything that I want. And this would be after we've done a bit of research as to, you know, would this piece sell before I commit everything to it? Is there a market for it? Is it trending? And who the competitors are, just so I can make mine that bit different. So then I send them this document, and we do a lot of back and forth, and that's the whole thing. It is all in the communication, it's all in the detail. And then the biggest bit of advice I could give is to just get samples, because you need to see that piece before you commit to a large order. And I've learned the hard way, absolutely. Give you some time. You probably just need to really think about the samples. I think that's that's a big deal. And then when you get that in, then you can make some tweaks and stuff. But the thing is, samples are often expensive, and I think that's why people don't go down that route. But it's the be all and end all, essentially, of what the product turns out like. So it's about a 6-month process. Lots of toing and froing at the beginning, lots of creativity, which I love. And then it's a case of minor changes. And don't hold back. Be as direct, be as detailed, be as just pick up that communication with your supplier whenever you want. You should have that relationship with them that you can do that.
I love that. Those are some really good gems out there for budding entrepreneurs. So you're currently stocked in Harvey Nichols, Wayfair, Amazon, and so many more amazing stores. How did you get your products onto these shelves of like Harvey Nichols, and what should others know if they're trying to do the same and get their products onto these shelves?
So for me, I think my first experience with a large retail store was QVC. So it's been for me QVC and Harvey Nichols, and actually they both approached me, which is quite unusual. I technically, if they didn't approach me, I don't think I would have thought I was ready to handle big wholesale retail environment. So I'm glad they did, and it gave me that experience. So I think they contacted me through Instagram because I was very loud and proud about my business on there, and I think that's how they found me, which is obviously a good thing.
Incredible.
So it sort of forced me into that, which is great, because I got the experience I needed from QVC to then feel confident fulfilling Harvey Nichols orders. So it was amazing. I actually haven't approached large retailers yet myself. I've been in discussions with just general stockists around the UK. But in terms of, the John Lewis's, the House of Frasers, I mean, that's where I would have wanted to be, but then the pandemic came, and now I'm just not sure, do I still want to be in these sorts of stores? Obviously online is great, but I almost feel like I've learned that spending a lot of my time and energy is actually better off on Amazon.
Wow.
Because, there's no cap in what you can earn. And, with wholesale, they really do dwindle down your profit margins. So it isn't actually always worth it, unless, of course, it's a huge order and you get a lot of exposure with it. Then that obviously has its advantages. But I would almost at this stage think I'm better off still focusing on Amazon, just based on how well it's doing.
Well, that's incredible. It's true. Like, from the outside looking in, I would have thought getting onto the shelves of a John Lewis, House of Fraser was the big goal, and you would make so much as like millions of customers a day. That's really interesting that your Amazon and like cutting out the middleman might be better for you. That's really key.
It's quite, I think it's a big misconception. Watch shows like Dragon's Den, and they're all like, which shelves you stocked in, and they always think that the only way to success is for wholesale, is to be in large retail stores. But really, technically everything's moving online anyway, especially now with the pandemic. And if they're going to just sell your products online for you, you might as well do that yourself on the biggest platform in the world, which is Amazon. And I mean, they do still take a percentage of your sales, obviously, but you're not, it's not as much as it would be if you were to fulfill a large order with a large retailer, because they want it very, 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 very cheap, basically. And sometimes you can't do that. Sometimes you need to retain the quality in your product. And I think Amazon is probably where your time is better spent.
Incredible advice. Wow. So for anybody struggling with finding their passion and wants to work for themselves, just like you, what advice would you offer?
I would actually say to testers, what I would say, if you're just thinking about an idea and you just want to have a play around, go and see what a draft website would look like and what kind of products you sell, you can do that and it's not a big deal. You can do that in the privacy of your home. You don't tell anybody, you just have a play around. That's what I would say initial stage. The more unwanted opinions you'll be getting, more doubts, more, I think you just need to just have a little play yourself, see how it feels to you. Do you feel a spark? Do you feel like there's something there that's lighting up inside you? And if so, then take it further. Maybe tell your partner, tell your family that you're thinking of doing this. But I do think the best I did when I first started my business was just do it really privately and not tell anyone.
Wow.
And then when I then showed people what I was up to, is kind of at a stage where there wasn't really any going back anyway, so they had to get on board. And it was nice because then I just had their support, and naturally your family and friends, they care about you, so they will mention concerns.
Wow.
My cousin, I think I told him, he was the only person I told randomly. I wish I didn't actually, but I told him I'm going to be selling these necklaces. So I started off doing statement necklaces in 2015, and he was like, look, Nick, I'm just worried you're going to be in a pursuit of happiness situation, which, when he buys those bone density scanners and he is just broke. He was
You
like,
can't sell them.
I was like, it's okay, I'm only buying 20. Let me just see how it goes. It doesn't have to be that much of a leap. It can just be something small. Test the waters, dip your toe in. If it feels right, then you spend as you earn. So then you just grow organically. And then when you're there, you're there. Then you go full force.
I agree. That is really great advice. Wow, it's incredible. Start small, and it's true, like when you build in silence and then let your success make the noise, it's true, like there's no turning back and everyone can see, well, it's working, so you can't really tell me anything.
I think it's just a case of then you don't need other people's support, and you get that sort of bit of confidence.
Yeah, because it's true, you do sometimes look for people's validation to egg you on in the beginning if you're not sure. But it's true, if you just keep it to yourself, if it doesn't work, or it does, it just doesn't feel as like amplified. So that's great.
Yeah,
that's great.
Psychological thing as well, apparently, when you actually say, oh, I'm going to join the gym, I'm going to do this, because you've already announced it and people have been like, oh, that's really good, you've already achieved that sense of gratification or acknowledgement, so then you actually don't always feel like carry through with it. Well, that's another thing. It's best not to announce what you're going to do before you do it. You announce it after.
Wow.
That's my opinion anyway.
I love that advice. I'm very similar. I love that. So when you're trying to raise funding for a new business venture, do you have any insight into what you could share into how you grow a company? And is there any way you would recommend new businesses to go to suggest raising their venture capital, or would you suggest saving first?
So for me, I didn't raise any funds or borrow any money. Also, having said that, I didn't inject a load of my own money into my business, which is probably not what people think. But like I said, it was very organic at the beginning. So I've been doing this for about 6 years. And when I started, because I was younger, I didn't really know it would be where it is today. And so I trod very carefully. And I essentially only, so say if for example, I spent £100 on some earrings. Once I'd made that £100 back, no, say if I made £150 back, then I'd spend that £50 on toward the new stock. Does that make sense? So it was a very steady, sensible way to grow. But if you do have that sort of money behind you at this stage, then I would almost avoid raising funds. Just people have actually said to me quite often, why don't you go on Dragon's Den? Why don't you go on The Apprentice? I was like, I don't think I want to have anyone else involved. I think I want it to be mine 100%. And even family, I don't want them involved. Wow. I think it just needs to be mine for my own feeling of self-worth. But that's just a very personal thing, and it's because what I do and the products I sell, I can do that. Whereas if you do need investment up front, then you will probably have to raise. But I've heard good stories about Kickstarter campaigns and things like that. But otherwise, I'm not that knowledgeable about raising funds. But
Yeah.
I'm sure if you were to do like an event or some sort of skydive, I'm sure your friends and family will back you. And starting your own business is special, and more people are seeing that now, and I feel like more people will be more supportive.
I love that, and that's really good advice, and it's so special that you want to just keep it yours. You know, it's your baby, and it's true, like whatever happens with it, when you go from ground zero and you work it, it's like that was all my hard work. So I really understand keeping it to yourself. It's beautiful. What do you most enjoy about running your own business, and is there anything you find quite difficult?
Absolutely. So I very much enjoy, I say the one thing I've never woken up feeling is a lack of purpose. And I know that's quite a big thing that people can feel. And I go through the mill with everything else. Like I feel burnt out, I feel tired, I feel like sometimes very, I lack confidence. I have all these other emotions, but that's one thing I can say I don't experience now.
Yeah.
And that for me is enough, because I love that. I know what I'm getting up for. I know what my purpose is. When people ask what I do, I'm proud of it. And I think that that's what I love the most, is that feeling of, right, I've got stuff to do today. Let's get up, let's do it. There are definitely difficult times. I mean, I've got a much longer list of difficult things at this stage. And obviously, like I'm in my dream house. I've got myself to a position where I feel proud of myself, and I think that's emulated in my relationships now. I've got a better relationship with my family members, my partner. So it's just transpired in so many different ways. It's like, because I know who I am and what I'm doing every day, I can then project that into everyday life. I think that's been the most special thing for me. Yeah. But yeah, difficult times. My God, I think it's being spread very thin for me. And I've only got a small team now, and there have been times with the pandemic where they've been furloughed or things like that, and I often feel very alone. And the business is growing, which is fantastic, but sometimes I think I need probably more help than I have. But then I struggle with delegating, so it's like complete, yeah, I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place there. But I think the lonely side of it is not so bad for me now, because I share an office and that helps. So I actually speak with the guys there and their directors themselves, and I bounce off them, which is lovely. But in terms of energy, so now I have my staff members. They're fantastic. They're so good. I'm really, really happy with them. But where they ask you questions all day and you're like putting out fires every day, I feel like it's a bit draining. And I don't have that person above me, because I'm the director, to feed off of myself. So it's difficult to replenish my energy. Does that make sense? Because I'm where I am, and I've got staff below me. So it's that would be one of the hardest things in terms of feeling a bit isolated now and again.
Wow, that's really, really interesting. Do you think like moving forward, you'd be interested in like maybe getting a mentor or somebody with another successful business? What do you think?
Maybe. I think so. I think I would benefit from that, because especially with my Instagram, where I'm trying to inspire young girls to do business as well, I'm also giving a lot of my energy there.
Yeah.
So I get so many DMs. I'm putting these podcasts out and doing this interview. I'm like trying to share, but really, where am I getting it from now?
It's true, exactly. You need pouring into you to give out. Yeah.
I would love the idea of a mentor. I think that's really good. But then it is like podcasts, looking at other people that inspire me, listening to their ideas. So I'm trying to get that more from people. But I think within my like intimate circle, I do find that quite difficult. Yeah.
Wow. What are some of your favorite ways to market your business, and do you have any tips to increase traffic and have the recurring customers that you always have?
So for me, I did start off as an Instagram business, and I was so into my content. I was like on top of it, and I was known for it. Like I was known as the Instagram jewelry girl, right? Then this was back in the day, and then obviously everybody's on there. Everybody's doing the same thing. It's so saturated, and I'm getting older. Like I have less interest in a lot of things before.
Wow.
So I'm finding it hard to keep up now on Instagram, but I'm making the effort. I'm doing what I can. But the thing is, for me as well, I think where my business isn't so dependent on Instagram, that's why I'm losing a lot of interest in it. So now I'm moving on to Amazon and the big games, like I'm Google advertising, Facebook advertising, and Amazon sponsored campaigns, things like that. They're what actually make money.
Yeah.
If I could, put a reel out there on Instagram and I get maybe 4 sales, that's great. But I'm on the other end now, I think, and that's where my energy is, and that's where my concentration. So I'd say Amazon marketing is one of the things I'm enjoying, because it's a bit of a minefield. It took a long time for me to learn, and that you can really see the results. And I do really enjoy that, because I know not many people know how to do it. So then it gives me that reassurance and a bit of self-confidence there as well.
Yeah, that's amazing that you're already ahead of the curve. And it's true. It's like now all these youngsters are into Instagram. And it's crazy that you're now moving away from it, but you was there when it wasn't so saturated. So yeah, that was a really good time to get yourself out there where there wasn't so much competition.
I think it's good as a platform to lever you off, but I do think you want to sort of think of a plan for your business that is, outlives Instagram a little bit, because I think you need longevity there, and it doesn't rely on your appearance or this sort of stuff.
You're right. I've heard about that. And it's true. Like so many people online say, like, what would you do if Instagram or YouTube crashed? Like you have to have something of your own. Like if those websites were to go away, people can just come to you through your own website, or you're right, your Amazon or blog. But yeah, like build up your own things. So I love that advice. You're welcome. If you could go back to your younger self, what would you tell the younger Niki?
Ooh, I'd probably tell myself that I will be proud of myself when I'm this age. Because I think I was just navigating relationships and friendships, sort of always second guessing myself, and wondering why I wasn't good enough and all this sort of stuff. And I look back and I think, oh, you didn't know. No, you'd be, proud of yourself. You didn't know you'd be where you are today, and you're in your house that you love so much. And and I let people talk me down a lot because of that. So I think that would probably be the only thing I would say. I mean, I did loads of stupid things. I don't want to backtrack. I don't want to regret anything. All those mistakes were made for a reason.
You learn from them.
Yeah, the main thing I would do is just try and give myself a bit more confidence, so I didn't get myself into so many toxic relationships.
It's beautiful. It's true. When you recognize your worth, you make decisions, and that's like your benchmark. Like if it doesn't fit with my self-worth, then I can't do that. And I love that.
It took a long time. Like I'm only just there, and I'm 29.
You're still so young.
Yeah, like I don't know. I thought I'd know where I was at when I was 25, and I was still like a bumbling mess. I didn't know what was going on.
Stop it.
I actually really enjoy it, because each year I care less what other people think.
That's the key.
It's been like it's been such a fault in my personality. I think obviously it's natural and everyone does, but where I was down for so long and I had so many followers for years now, it had that impact on me. I worry all the time, oh, should I have said that? Should I have done this? Oh, this person that. And it's just it's not healthy.
No, it's draining too.
Absolutely. And for that many years, I've almost stopped knowing any different. So,
that's beautiful.
I'm at the other end now and be like, you know what?
Right? Show up as your authentic self. You like it, you love it. That's it. I can just be me. I love that advice to younger Niki. And in terms of goals for your future beautiful line, where do you see yourself and your company in like the next 5 years?
Oh, this is such an interesting question. So, you know what, when I was younger, I thought I wanted a huge office, like loads of employees, glass office doors and all this sort of stuff. And I just don't think I want that anymore. I want a business that is smart. So it doesn't involve a lot of staff. It's lean. And it's on platforms that don't depend so heavily on my appearance. So this is why I'm navigating more towards Amazon. That's where I want to grow. I want to have a lot of my products at the top there, because the sales there are so passive. I've sent items there, then they sell, and I just get notifications, sell, and that's just,
love that.
I can make money while I nap, so that's the main in life. I'm 29 now, things are changing.
Yeah, and it's true. Like we used to think we all wanted all this like grand stuff when we was younger, but we realized the beauty really is in simplicity. It really is.
Yeah, and just nice people around you. You love your job.
Yep.
You love your house. It's just the fundamental things that I want. I don't want materialistic.
Mhm.
Eventually, it's just not good for my health anyway. If I did want this huge, I wouldn't be happy.
That's beautiful that you recognize what makes you happy and what you want. That's really key. So with your incredible homeware and jewelry line that you've created from scratch and that continues to prosper, it's amazing and so beautiful to watch you grow. What does it mean to you to truly give your all or nothing?
I think for me, the main thing I've learned is to push through even when you don't feel great. It's difficult because at the moment, Instagram's telling you be productive, work on your goals, do this, do that. And then the other hand, it's like self-care, don't let yourself burn out, don't be that person. So now you're like, what the hell am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to be relaxed and sit in my dressing gown all day? Or am I supposed to get up and go get what I want from life? So the best advice I can give is to just be consistent. And you know what? So I've got two sides of my business. One side where I put myself out there, the other side where I work behind the scenes. So I will always be doing one of them, even if I feel rubbish.
Yeah.
So if I am not feeling good one day, I'm much better off going to my office, working behind the scenes, keeping myself to myself, not putting myself out there to anyone, not even speaking to anyone at my office, but I'm still working on something.
Yeah.
And I'd push back in that sense. That's better for me to do that. But then obviously when I'm feeling better, I'm feeling confident, then I'd put myself out there on the other side. But I'm always still trotting along. Sometimes lower than other days. But that's the best thing, is to just keep going. Otherwise, you let yourself drift off. You let yourself think you're worthless. You let yourself think it's not going anywhere. And then self-care, but try and keep going. That's all I, what works for me is I take a step back. I don't put myself on social media. I'm a nerd. I got my glasses on. I'm behind I'm doing what I love, but privately, again, that's another thing. Privacy is just like a big deal in terms of, being able to give your all the time. Just occasionally take a step back, keep yourself to yourself, regroup, and then come back again.
That is so powerful, and that is great advice. It's true. If you're not feeling like something, just take a step back, and and you can still work on things without being so in front of everybody's face all the time. And you know what like makes you tick, so you know what you're feeling on one day and the other, and that's really key to like growing something when you know yourself. So I've really taken those gems from you.
I personally I wouldn't feel happier if I'm having a bad day. I wouldn't feel happier if I do nothing. That's very productive. So either I can procrastinate and like tidy my house, or just I need to be doing something. Not getting out of bed isn't good for you. That's
and it's true, and it makes you feel rubbish too.
You want to feel good about yourself, and I think just making a start on something very small, making like reasonable goals for yourself, is probably a good start at doing that.
I love that. Yeah, even if it's like one thing you tick off your list, consistency, 1 step, 10 steps, whatever's up to you, but just moving steadily at a pace. I love that. Holding yourself accountable.
It will be a roller coaster, but as long as you're still on the ride, it's all I'll say.
That is it. Thank you so much, Niki, for your wonderful gems and words of wisdom today. People are going to learn so much from you.
Oh, you're a lovely interviewer, I must say.
Thank you. Trying to be like the next Oprah,
Oh, it's so nice to speak to you.
You too. Thank you so much for your time, and I wish you the best success for your business ongoing.
Thank you.
Bye.